Hello, this is Factorio, and today I'm playing Pyanodon's mods. So this is the whole suit. I'm also included hard mode, which is not an official mod, but it does make some things a bit more interesting. I am playing with biters enabled. The basic configuration goes from recommended settings and rail world. So the biters are there, but are not going to expand. Well, they're not supposed to expand. Did I mess something up? Everything else seems to be fine. Okay, so cliffs are disabled. Enemies don't expand. And now I'm not sure if I wanted them expanding or not. Because it does put pressure on you, which is good. On the other hand, I have very large continents, so they will be hard to defend even if I manage to clean them out completely. So I don't think I want expansion. I did reduce the size a bit. That's because even for a base like this, I have no idea when I'm going to be able to clear it out. So for the start of the game, I have nothing, not even magazines for the pistol. Now to get finishing, I need lead, which I think is either here or over here. So that should be reachable. There are going to be biters, but I can deal with a few biters, so that should be fine. So the frequency is 100%, the size is 50%, and the starting area is default as well. So let's get this started. Play. Yep. Now the main difference with Pyanodons is of course that everything is much more complex. And unlike most Factorio mods, you don't actually necessarily want to make things big. So in usual Factorio playthrough, you can just go all out because the only thing that's really limiting you is the biters. And even then, more production usually pays off, right? In Pyanodon, things are a little bit different. Because everything is very expensive. And you do get fewer materials overall. Because, for example, if I look at how the production of iron looks, I am going to make quick starter iron production. That should be fine. Right, so every single iron plate takes 8 iron ore. It's the same for copper, and it doesn't really get better for the other materials. What does get better is that eventually I'm going to be able to get better technologies that will allow me to get more out of the ore. This has many implications because one, things are not cheaper than in base game. Most of the time they're much more expensive. Now for the basics like these mining drills, that's not a problem. It doesn't really change. But it does mean that the investment you need to make to get started with some production is not negligible. Oh, that's not the right way around. No, already making mistakes. I barely just started. So finding the right amount of things you want makes a huge difference. Building too big just makes everything take longer. Not always. Some things are worth expanding. Like for the iron production that I get at the start, I'm definitely going to be expanding that. quite a bit. I'm not overdoing it because this is just 1.4 million iron. And in Pyanodons, that's not a lot. No, that's not going to last very long. What else should I say? Now, hard mode makes things even worse. So, as I already said, I'm not starting with any weapon or any ammunition. Which means that the only weapon I have against the biters are my hands, or, well, my pickaxe, I guess. And some processes are changed quite a bit in hard mode. And the important one for right now is I can't mine copper, because mining copper requires water. Now I will be able to get water here, it just means that I need to spend a lot of iron bringing water around. In the end, that's not a big deal, because I will want water here anyway for producing all the first science and everything, for producing power. So yeah, that's going to be fine. However, that's just the start of it. Now in Pyanodon, a lot of resources need some gas or liquid to extract. In fact, I think pretty much all of them do, other than the starting resources. And that's the thing, right? So already copper needs water. Stone needs carbolic oil. I'm not going to get carbolic oil until I get at least 2 coal processing 1. Now that's one of the first researches. So as soon as I have, I will make assemblers first, for obvious reasons. Then I can get started on this. But you can see, 100 iron, 50 copper for 1. And I need multiple. Because I also need to do coal processing first to get the tar. The things are going to get complicated very quickly. Also, to make things more interesting, look at the storage size. So just 4 items in the wooden chest. Iron chests are bigger, but of course we don't have iron chests yet, and they only expand this to 8. So there's not going to be any easy storage for items for quite a while. Also, in most mods, and especially in Pyanodons, you can get rid of waste very easily. You can dump most things, so you can use burners, so you can use like the flue things and everything, and just dump things straight into the atmosphere or into lakes or whatever. Pretty much all of those recipes are disabled in Pi. So we will have to be more responsible than that. And of course, even with base Pyanodons, time is a huge thing here. So, the first science we have is this, automation science spec. I can make the first automation science spec in something like 15 minutes if things are going well, which they aren't because I do talk a lot. But yeah, 15 minutes or so. The second science spec takes us way down. You can see there's already electronics. Still no science spec. That's where it is. So that's Pi Science 1. That's about 15 hours. The first mining drill, electric mining drills, that's going to take something like 30 hours maybe. And the next science pack, we can look at like 100, 150 hours. So this is a long run. And of course, hard mode makes it much harder. I do have biters enabled. That's also going to be a bit of a problem. If I have a look at where I get the first ammunition, which is just military science, so sure, already a lot of research to do just to get firearms. And to make them, I need lead and I need gunpowder. And both of these have a fairly long processing chain and are not going to be available in huge quantities early on. It also needs steel. So this is going to be lots of fun. Now I should be able to have access to everything I need to get there. Yeah, so I think lead was the one on the northeast, which should be fine. Now, the biggest problem right now is going to be stone, because the only source of stone I have are the big rocks. There's a decent amount of them, and I need to mine them anyway for the moss, which is a rare drop. But it's still going to be a problem. It's a lot of effort. It will take a lot of time early on, and I need stone for even the basic research. So that's not great. Now I did include time tools, or whatever it's called. That's pretty much required, really. Well, honestly, it will not take too long until I spend all my time actually working at full speed. Because the thing is, that's another reason why it doesn't make much sense to rush in Pyanodon, especially in hard. Because you are going to spend so much time building stuff anyway. So, the longest run in Pyanodon I have so far, well, in the latest version that is something like 300 hours. And I didn't really spend any time besides the first hour or so. There wasn't really any time spent just waiting. And even now, waiting is not a good strategy. There are things to do. Of course, some of those things are just running around and refilling all those middlings. That's how things are. Right, I need a lot more stone. Yeah, the first steam engine. Even that's an achievement. Right, there's more stone. Now the biters are going to attack my base if the pollution gets far enough. Which means I need to think about pollution. Fortunately, Pi does provide me with a lot of options for managing pollution, because Pi has a lot of biotechnology. And most of those farms and such reduce pollution. So you can't reduce the global pollution counter, which is one of the reasons why I have it disabled for biters. So it's not going to count towards evolution. They will not evolve with time. They will not evolve with pollution. The only way that makes them evolve is when I kill their bases. Which I will have to do, of course. It's yet another thing where I just need to be careful. And it's also one more reason why I have the expansion disabled. Because it makes things complicated really quick, of course. Right, water. I'm going to keep the spaceship here. I will take the smaller parts. They can be used for storage, which is actually kind of useful in PyHard. But it's not that big of a deal. Now, mining trees gives me a small chance of getting sap. Mining rocks, big rocks, gives a small chance of getting moss. All of those are going to be necessary. I'm also going to need this, seaweed. I will also need fish. Fish are a very important resource in a Pyanodon. Then I will have the ability to breed fish eventually. But again, that's like 20 hours from now. And even then, it's not going to be easy for a while. There. I need more stone. Let's mine more stone. Exploration is also important because there's a lot of resources, and there are even some resources that are very rare and can make things much easier. Of course, again, not at the start. At the start, there's not much you can do. So there will be spots where I can drill for oil, tar, all those materials. There will be geothermal spots, which are extremely useful, because power is something I'm going to be struggling with for a while. And that's another place where PyHard makes things harder. One, it changes around the fuel values. So raw coal only has 1.5 megajoules of power. That's half the energy of base Pyanodons. That's not great. And that's only getting started. Because it does mean that processing coal actually is good. Normally, with the default technologies, you do not get anything back, really. You are losing energy with each step. Except, of course, that we also get the liquid fuels, which are awesome. But let's not care about those right now. So, there, 50 megajoules of raw coal turns into just 12 megajoules of coal. However, we get a lot of fluid, and those fluids are absolutely necessary. The problem is they're also going to globule up all the time until I can make a system that can deal with that, right? That's just how Pi is. Right. Now, to be able to mine the copper at all, the basic miners have been expanded to allow liquids. It's really horrible. Because, of course, we have the energy mod by alternative energy. And via alternative energy does this really wonderful thing. It makes it so that pretty much, well, every burner, every time you burn any, like fossil fuel or stuff like that, ash is produced. So the furnaces make ash, the burner miners make ash, boilers make ash. Ash is a resource. We will use it, but this early on, apart from being used for research, they are going to pile up like crazy. And it does mean that every burner machine needs to have an output for ash. So we have input for coal, output for ash, output for ore. That's not great. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so that's the copper milestone done. And the next thing I do will be straight into assembly, because one of the really important things when playing mods like Pyanodons is automate things before you go crazy. Of course, automation is difficult because everything is so expensive, but I will be running around a lot. So, time that I don't have to spend moving coal around, for example, is going to pay off soon. There we go. So, already the first science pack, very expensive. I will need soil extractor, those are still relatively cheap. I will need flora collector. That costs twice as much. And just look at how much I need for a single planter box, which is not even enough to make a single automation science pack. So this gets wild pretty fast. But again, you don't have to build big early on. Because we will have access to better technologies quickly. And you just end up wasting a lot of time building everything and such. Of course, most people play Pyanodons with some mod, like early construction bots or companion drones or something like that. That's a very good idea in general. Highly recommend it. But of course that would be too easy, right? There. Now, in Pyanodon, the ratios are of course completely different. So, 2 boilers, 1 steam engine at the start. It's going to change soon. Well, not soon. When we get access to hotter steam, which is not for a while. But that should be fine. Of course, it's a boiler, so it will output ash. That's not going to be a problem for a while. But I do have a tendency to forget these things, so let's just deal with it right now. And I will need more coal. Yep. Yep. There. Of course, I'm not using any power right now, so this will last for a while. But even making power poles is a lot of work. Of course, this is Pi. And you can see the coal consumption is pretty crazy. So we're consuming 500 coal per minute and producing just 80 iron per minute, iron plates. So not great. Yeah, the day is already almost fall. This is not going to be a speedrun. But there are some rules that still apply great from speedruns. One of those is make intermediates whenever you don't have anything better to do. Of course, I'm going to automate this as soon as possible, but as soon as possible is not that soon. Now, for my first lab area, I want to start right here next to the native flora. If I build things well, it's possible to build a fairly compact design that will last for a decent amount of time. Of course, I will need the flora collector, but let's get started collecting soil, at least. Oh, yeah, but of course I need to connect it to power. And I'm out of copper, but yeah, that's it. 8 more copper. Tja. Oh, why is there no power already? That's weird. Oh, I didn't connect the water, of course. Now, it makes a huge difference to even have basic automation. It pays off fairly quickly. So I'm not going to be trying to do everything at once. That's not really going to work. Yeah, and these inserters are not going to be good enough. That's one of the reasons Bob's inserters is in there. It will save me a lot of materials and make nicer designs possible. There. Okay, first expanding copper is going to be also fairly high on the priority list. Unfortunately, the early designs for copper mining aren't great. And you can't even use fluid miners, right? So there's mining with fluids, which has a fluid mining drill. They don't work for copper. They don't work for stone. You have to use these tiny burner miners. Very annoying. So that's some of the reasons why PyHard is not exactly perfect. Yes, the burner miners just aren't made for fluid mining. It's really annoying to work with. However, that's what I have. So, this is what I came up with for the early stage. That's where I get my coal. Now, again, this is Pyanodons. So we don't have splitters. When do we get splitters? That's the first splitter. And the main thing that we need to get it is the simple circuit board. That's simple circuit boards. Very expensive, very complicated. You need a lot of materials to do it. And you can see already, zinc takes 10 ore to produce one plate. So, things are going to get very fun. There. Now, normally at this point I would already have my first automation science. So things are really slow. But that's fine. Yeah. Right, alright. That's going to mess up the aesthetics a little bit, but that's fine. There, so the only thing that's missing is the flora collector and a lot of handcrafting, which will be limited by the available stone bricks, which are limited by stone. And I don't have stone. I can't mine stone. Yeah, and I should have been handcrafting copper cables. That's another thing that you want to be handcrafting or crafting all the time. So the philosophy of Pyanodons is more that you shouldn't really rush too much. It's more about taking care of your little Zen garden. And I think that one of the ways this extends is that you don't really want to make too many things you don't need right now. So intermediates you want to automate soon. Just so you don't have to handcraft them. That's absolutely a given. Also, you will soon get much more efficient recipes for all sorts of things. So that's really important. And let's get you down. Start mining, please. Again, very small. Yeah, so the first native flora at 23 minutes. So that's much slower than I would usually have. But that's fine. I did spend a lot of time talking and not being very efficient. And that's... oh, I didn't pick up any of the soil. Forgot about that. That's the first science pack. 24 minutes. Yeah. And already the cost for making the first science pack is... You know, like, the individual science packs aren't expensive, but it adds up really quickly. And I'm out of copper, of course. Yeah, you are at least partially automated now. That's good. Now, I do not like buses. Honestly, especially in the simpler vanilla approach, they make things very easy. And too simple in some ways, right? You just always know what you're supposed to be doing. That's how it works with the bus. You always know the way you're going to expand. It always makes some sense. No, I don't want any of that. That doesn't mean that there will be no bus at all. I will still use, you know, buses for some of the basic materials. But there's not going to be one huge main bus. It doesn't really work for Pyanodon anyway. There's just too many things, and most of those don't really need to go far. Which makes sense, right? Need more stone. Still can't mine any stone, so I have to come pick it up by hand. The iron is building up already. Copper is not nearly as fast, but it is more automated right now. So that's a good thing. Native flora will also be building up, of course, only to like 400 or so. That's 40 science packs. So that's another reason why I want to go for assemblers as soon as possible. Again, this is Pi. So the assemblers we get this way are burner assemblers. They eat up coal. Yay! Which means they also output ash. And we don't even have splitters, right? And we're not going to have splitters for a long time, and they are going to be kind of expensive for a while. What do we do about it? Fortunately, this got much easier with Factorio 2.0, because now we have access to circuit networks from the get-go. So what I use is a fairly simple system where I can ensure that any unwanted byproducts are separated from a belt without contaminating the rest of the system. Well, at least that's going to work out. More stone bricks, thank you. Now the furnaces are out of coal. I will move the furnaces to a separate spot soon. And did I make too much? I may have made too many. How many do I have? So 12 total. 18, I need 2 more. Okay. Right, I will be expanding the science production, the labs and everything, but again, not as much as we might think. It just doesn't really work for Pyanodons. Okay. Also, what you might have noticed, these mining drills consume 500 kilowatts. Another thing, once we get to electric miners, of course, electric miners are much better, but they cost 1 megawatt of electricity, and their mining speed is just double. So they do not get you better efficiency, unlike in vanilla. It's not such a no-brainer to just switch over everything to electric right away, especially considering that, of course, this is Pi, so the electric miners are very expensive. The basic ones, they cost pretty much the same as in vanilla, which is nice. That's not going to last. Okay, now, just a quick furnace stack for copper. Because having fewer things to worry about is important. The input is going to need a lot more than the output, right? Because we need 8 ore for every plate. So there's no simple balancing the way it is in vanilla. And we're going to like it that way, right? In fact, it doesn't take too long for the inserters to have trouble keeping up. Which is kind of funny. The inserters we do have right now are at least much better than in vanilla. So these are not burner inserters. These are magic inserters. They don't stake anything. That's good, at least. I'm not going to be able to get rid of the ash. It shouldn't be a problem for now. But that's copper production automated. I'm going to expand the stack a bit further. It's not going to actually work, of course, right? But that's good. And these are the last 5 science packs, so that should be everything for the first science, and we should be able to start making burners. There we go. Of course, now I will need more coal on the belt. So again, I can't really do full automation yet, but partial automation still helps immensely. And that's what's it all about. It will get better. It will get much better, fortunately. Now, it's a good idea to leave a lot of room for Pyanodons, because it gets big really quickly. On the other hand, things are expensive. So that's a problem. Right, so 15 items, I can only use half the belt, so 7 items, which means that I can feed 8 furnaces from one belt, probably. Yeah, I think so. It's not going to be perfect, but that's not the point now. I will want to switch into better iron production as soon as possible. It's not going to be very soon. We need crushers. So that's fairly early technology. Oh yeah, so iron is actually quite good. The one reason why I need this is to improve the efficiency, of course. So this is going to make the iron last longer, and it's going to be more efficient for the furnaces too, because now it's just 3 iron ore to 1 iron plate. So the belts are going to work a lot better. The other thing is, I get stone, which normally would be a waste byproduct, but stone is kind of precious. So it works out. Eventually, I will be able to make infinite stone by cheesing the mechanics around making stone bricks. Maybe. I'll think about whether I want to do that or not. But that's it. That's the crushers. Alright. Things are looking pretty good. Now, gun turrets are useless, of course, until I have ammunition, so no point in doing those. I need coal processing. You will be doing a lot of coal processing in this mod pack. Now, I'm going to need a lot more coal for the iron, so let's get it over there. Yeah, none of this is very nice, but that's what it looks like at the beginning, right? No, can I even make undergrounds? Yeah, at least I can make undergrounds. That's nice. There. Things are starting to look up a little bit. Also, all this time, the ash is building up. And I have nothing to do with ash right now, other than the production of science. Automation science pack takes planter boxes, small parts, the native flora. What I'm going to do for now, just stick it right here. I'm still going to put them in a box as well, which should work. No, it doesn't. Okay. Yeah, so let's instead put it in the box and use one inserter. Why not? There. Planter box. That's going to take ash, soil, and empty planter box. Empty planter box takes wood, stone brick, and iron plate. I can automate production of wood from logs at least. That's good. Of course, the advantage of going slower is that I have more resources available right now. That's how it works. And let's just start building some of these at least. Yeah. Yeah, so there we can see it. This is already a problem. However, I already have this. Very simple blueprint. It can easily be rotated and everything. It's very convenient. Of course, I built things a bit too poorly. So this is not going to be great. You know what? Let's just do this. Time is valuable. There. I just say take ash off this belt. Oh, I didn't have to do that quite yet, but that's fine. Now this is going to ensure that no ash goes here. Even if everything gets completely locked up. Ooh, I do need even more. So really what I want to do is just take this blueprint, paste it over here. Annoyingly, you can't flip the burner miners, of course, because they're not symmetrical. And I will want to have some room for extracting the ash out of the miners. Now, Pyanodon is really great in that everybody does things differently. In most Factorio mods, you will usually find something that works well, and you will use that. And people will usually agree, at least partially, on what that is. It's not really the case for Pyanodons. There's many ways to do everything, and all of them have something going for them. Right. So the soil will be needed for making planter boxes as well as ash. And again, I will also need ash. I didn't align things quite well. I can move you. Will that be enough? Come on, come on, come on. Yeah, that's enough. Okay. So this is going to be making planter boxes. It will also get input. Ash. Fuel. I have option center, so I can take ash straight from the output and just put it there. Very convenient. And of course, empty planter boxes. Now, do I have enough to make the wood processing unit? Yeah. So, wood processing units takes 500 kilowatts to process logs into wood. This is going to improve slightly. It's not going to be great. Right, and yeah, let me go this way to actually move the... Another thing about Pi is the buildings are very big, which makes things sometimes a bit hard to follow and hard to see where everything is, and of course hard to work with the electric poles and the underground belts and everything. So it's also not ideal, but we can work with that. There we go. For now, let's just put it straight inside, and this has an output. So I can store wood in a box. I do also need logs. They are used for electric poles, for example. But that's basic automation for science, not final. It doesn't actually do everything, not even close. Well, yeah, close. It's not going to take much longer. Small parts are a bit complicated. And we are going to need a lot of them, and we are going to need them pretty much right now. So I am going to build them here because I will need more room for further stuff I'm going to be making. And for pretty much everything, I'm going to want buffer chests in the middle because the intermediates are usually very useful. No stone, of course. No stone is going to be a bit of an issue. Yeah, and this is going to fill up with wood before it goes into the box. Oh, that filled up a bit more than I expected. Okay, that does happen with some things. Small parts are the next step. So let's do something like this. 2 stacks are probably too much, but let's roll with it. I should automate the iron first, probably. Oh, that's okay. Yeah, small automation still goes a long way towards making things easier. Now this takes iron gears and bolts. Iron gears just take iron. Bolts are made from iron sticks. Here's the wheels. Yeah, I'm going to move you around because... no, not the stick. There. And... no, bolts. Damn it. These just take iron sticks, which are just as in vanilla. There's not much use for sticks, I think. Oh, air core inductors. We'll need those too. There we go. I will keep a few on hand. This is small parts. I wouldn't call it automated. We still have a long way to go. I do need to connect everything up. And this is eating up the whole production, really. No, that's not great. Power. Good. This stopped. I have wood in storage. Oh, this is looking good. Now let's finish the iron. Yeah. I'll need it. I've refilled it. Let's wait a little bit. Right, let's get the small parts where we need them, which is all the way here, okay? Could have done things better. Ah, that's fine. One nice thing about how expensive everything is in Pyanodons is that the things that aren't any more expensive than they were in vanilla suddenly feel kind of fine, right? Yeah. I will change this soon. For now, this is going to work. We run out of iron. So that was the whole supply of iron we had, pretty much. Gone. Just like that. And that's all the machine parts done. They're not going to produce anything. Okay. So, burners. They will need fuel. 500 kilowatts means that one raw coal will last for 8 of these. Since I will use the other side of the belt for disposing of ash. The consumption of the furnaces is much more involved, really. Don't care. There we go. Let's get started making something. I will take care of the rest later. So again, it's going to take a lot more to mine. Is it? No, it's not. Furnaces are more expensive, right? And I put it on the wrong side of the belt anyway, but that doesn't matter. I will remedy this like so. Right. Yeah, and already the burner miners were half full of ash. So just from this, that's more than 10 stacks of ash. Yikes. Yeah, so it's going to take 2... No, I'm being silly. Of course, the miners are going to be more expensive, right? Because 1 per second means that for 1 iron plate I will need 8 times this, that's 8 megajoules. And here it's going to be 2 megajoules. Right, so definitely go like this. These run out of fuel, that's bad. Means I'm going to have the inventory pretty much full. Annoying. Now I am going to use the usual pattern here. It's not the most efficient for Pi. So that's not a problem for me. Okay. There we go. I know transport bed is in the way, don't worry about it. Oh, no, I can't do that. Yeah, so this is not a great design. Using just half of the belt means that that's all I can have here, right? And though there's a lot of spare, well, there's the half belt that's going to be almost empty because it's just going to have the ash, which, well, it's actually produced at the same rate as the fuel. So maybe it's not so stupid. But anyway, it does mean that I will need to add a whole new belt for you. I can't really use the other one. Okay. Right, so while I'm messing around, production did actually happen. Oh. Are you not keeping up? That's weird. Yeah, the inserters are slightly too slow, I think, to supply it fully, but not to an extent that would matter, honestly. And 1.6 should be able to feed everything. Yes. That's fuel. Right. There, it should work fine. Oh no, it's... I forgot to divide, right? So I can do 3 times as many. So I can use the same belt. Let's No, I can't because I don't have near inserters yet. Okay, well, honestly, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to have to deal with any of the complications anytime soon. Well, let's just keep things simple. It's more important much of the time. And I'm out of copper. Yeah. Is there any copper? Oh, yeah, because these don't have inserters yet. Okay, that explains a few things. Yeah, it's blacklist hash for now. Here, I do have to motor here though. You ran out of iron. And now I have plenty of copper. Good. Sure. Let's speed you up. However, that's probably going to be it, right? For this episode. And I'm out of stone bricks. Of course. There should be some... By the way, I will want these stockpiled a little bit too. They will be required for science or bioengineering later. And not that much later, right? Alright. But that's everything for the first episode. So, let's see you in the next one. Yeah, that's not enough. Right, so it will need a few more. Another inserter, right? But, yeah, looks good. Well, looks ugly, but, you know. That's it. Bye.